Good morning, everyone. I am back to make a brand new batch of soap. I'm continuing with my winter themes. Today I'm going to attempt a Neapolitan type soap where it's going to be pink, brown, and white layers with some decoration on top. I'm going to be using two new fragrance oils by Indigo Fragrance. As you can see, grapefruit vanilla and vanilla bean Noel type. I will be using vanilla stabilizer in this soap. You use vanilla stabilizer at a 1-to-1 ratio in order to help not brown your soaps. So sometimes vanilla does tend to brown your soaps. And since I'm using a vanilla bean and a grapefruit vanilla, I don't want to take the chance because I want my white layer to remain white. So I have my oils and butters cooling off. I have found, I used pink Himalayan sea salt. I used 1.5 teaspoons in my last 2.5 pound batch, and it made for the hardest bar I have ever had. I also added sugar for lather, Tussa silk for lather, and sodium lactate for an extra hardening. And this bar was harder than a bar I made 2 days prior. So I was really impressed with that, so I'm going to go ahead again and do the pink Himalayan sea salt at a half a teaspoon per pound of soap that I use. I'm also going to be adding some titanium dioxide to my water once everything's dissolved in there. I have my lye separated, my sodium lactate still separated out. I'm going to step outside and mix that together because I like to use lye safety precautions, goggles, gloves, mask, and a well-ventilated area. These are the colors that I'm going to be using. They're all micas. Even though I'm adding titanium dioxide to the water to lighten up the whole batch, I'm also going to be adding some pearl white mica. So I mixed two pinks together, a pastel pink and a vibrant pink. And I mixed two browns together, a flame mica and an amber mica to make that really pretty brown. And then that's my vanilla stabilizer right there. So I'm going to go ahead and step outside and mix my lye together and get everything cooled down. I'm going to soap at room temperature so that way we can see how the scents work in the batch. We want to make sure there's no ricing, that it doesn't seize the batch, that it doesn't accelerate trace, and that the colors and scent hold up. So as always, I'm just going to go ahead and step aside for a minute and let things take its course, and then I'll bring you back to show you each step. All right, so I have my lye cooling down, and my oils are already cooled down to room temperature. I had them in a little ice bath, and I just continually stir until they cool down to approximately 80 degrees. Again, I'm using two fragrance oils, vanilla bean Noel type and grapefruit vanilla. And like I mentioned earlier, I am going to use a vanilla color stabilizer. Now I explained that we use it as a 1-to-1 ratio. And what I mean by that is for the white portion, I'm going to be using 1 ounce of vanilla bean Noel type fragrance oil. So since I'm using 1 ounce of that fragrance oil in my white portion, I want to use 1 ounce vanilla color stabilizer. That's a 1-to-1 ratio. I'm not too worried about adding that to the pink or to the brown. I have noticed that when I add darker colorants to my soap, when it has a vanilla fragrance oil, it doesn't change the color. At least for me, it hasn't so far. So I am hoping that it remains true. So I'm just waiting for my lye to cool down to approximately 80 degrees before I can go ahead and mix the two together and bring it to trace. So I'm just going to let that continue with the process, and then I'll bring you back. All right, so my oils are at 80 degrees and my lye is at 79 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and mix the two together, bring it up to emulsification. I do want it to stay somewhat fluid since I have multiple colors. I'm going to go ahead and then add the colorants and the fragrance oil, and I will show you what it looks like with the fragrance oil in. I want to make sure it doesn't rice, that it doesn't seize my batch, that it doesn't accelerate trace, that the color holds up and the scent holds up. So if you just give me a little bit, I will go ahead and get this mixed together and show you the next step. All right, here are the two colors with grapefruit vanilla, my pink and my brown. and it's holding up beautifully. It has not accelerated my trace. It didn't rice. As you can see, it's super smooth. I want it to be a little bit thicker than it is, so I'm going to go ahead and use my stick blender to go ahead and thicken it up a bit, so that way when I layer it, it's easier to put into the mold. I don't want each layer to break through. I'd like them to be nice, clean, separate layers. Now in the vanilla portion, I used the full ounce of vanilla bean Noel type, and I used 1 ounce of vanilla stabilizer. So I'm hoping that this color will just stay a nice creamy vanilla color. I know here it looks a bit tan, but out of the camera it looks more vanilla and yellowish. So again, I used a full ounce of grapefruit vanilla and a full ounce of vanilla bean Noel type. I'm going to go ahead and stick blend just to make it a little bit thicker, the batter, and then I'm going to put it in the mold, and I'll show you what that looks like when we're all finished. All right, here is everything in the mold. I attempted to do little hearts on the top, but they came out looking more like little petals. But it's a Neapolitan type of ice cream. You see the strawberry, vanilla, and then chocolate on top. Again, I used a full ounce of vanilla bean Noel and a full ounce of grapefruit vanilla. We're going to let this rest for 24 hours and then we'll cut it. Thanks for watching. So here it is, freshly out of the mold, and it looks wonderful so far. I'm just going to put the camera down for a second and cut a few slices, and I'll show you what it looks like on the inside. All right, here are my Neapolitan Love bars, all cut. The chocolate portion, the brown portion, faded into the white a little bit. I wish it was a little bit more crisp, but the colors held up, the scent held up, and there was no ricing and no seizing of this batch. So I'm going to go ahead and let this cure for 4 to 6 weeks, and then it'll be ready for sale. Thanks for watching.